Xbox needs to steal this controller feature now. What's holding up the Activision Blizzard deal? New job listings are great news for Arkane Austin fans. Let's discuss. What's up guys, and welcome back to another edition of Xbox Ready, the YouTube channel that is all about Xbox. I'm back with another news update. Y'all know how I do these things. I gather topics from around the video game industry that pertain to Xbox in some way to make sure that you are Xbox ready, to make sure that you're in the know. If you're a fan of Xbox and you like my content, you like my videos, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'd also appreciate a follow on Instagram and Threads as well. I just broke 1,000 followers, so I gotta be posting more. I gotta give y'all something to look at. So there's a new controller out on the market put out by GameSir. It's called the G7 SE wired controller. And apparently, at least to my knowledge, it is the first Xbox controller with Hall effect sticks. Whoa, Ray, what is going on? What did you just say? Hall effect sticks. It's basically a fancy magnetic tracking technology for thumbsticks that is supposed to prevent stick drift. And for anyone who plays a lot of shooters, it's supposed to make sure that your thumbsticks have some sort of longevity to them. Thankfully, this article on Pure Xbox has a much better explanation of what Hall sticks are, courtesy of HL Planet. Hall effect sensors use the Hall effect phenomenon to detect the position of the joystick. A small magnet is attached to the joystick, and a Hall effect sensor is used to measure the voltage generated by the magnetic field. Hall effect sensors are more durable and have a longer lifespan than potentiometer-based joysticks, and they are also more accurate and precise. They are also more resistant to harsh environments. Now, what kind of harsh environments they're alluding to, I'm not entirely sure. Like, are they referring to really dusty, dirty apartments or houses? Are they referring to like bachelor pads where the dudes live like savages? They put their TVs up on milk crates and they just have food and trash all over the place. Are they talking about those harsh environments? Or are you talking about like, I could take this controller out into the Amazon, out into the desert, and the sticks will still hold up? I'm just joking. Obviously, it's just like fancy marketing terminology. As the name implies, this controller is wired, so I know automatically that's going to turn a lot of people off. Me personally, I don't mind wired controllers, but that's because I play at this desk that you see behind me. It has 4 total rumble motors, and it also has 2 back, they're not paddles, but they're like back advanced buttons that you see on some of these other controllers. But obviously, the big draw here is the Hall effect sticks, and it's very impressive that they included this technology at this price point. This G7 controller is going for just $45. But seeing this controller, I'm like, okay, that's cool. I do want to check it out. I do want to buy one for myself. But it's just got me thinking. It's got me thinking, guys, like Xbox has got to steal this. They have to include Hall effect sensors in some way, at least for the Elite Series 3. Sure, it doesn't seem likely that they'll roll it out for all of their controllers, although that would be nice, but it's got to be at least in the Pro version of their first-party controllers. And because this controller, the G7, it has the sticks, but it's wired, Xbox has a great opportunity to come in and be like, here's a first-party option that you can use wirelessly. Over on the PlayStation side, the DualSense Edge, they have their own kind of solution to mitigating stick drift. You can literally take out the thumbsticks on the DualSense Edge and replace them with new ones if you ever get drift. I don't know if they have some sort of patent on that, but it would be really cool to see Xbox addressing potential drift issues in their next Elite Series. Maybe that solution is Hall effect sticks, maybe it's something else. A lot of people report having stick drift issues on their Elite Series controllers. And unfortunately, the Elite Series 2 is no stranger to quality control complaints. So yeah, Hall effect sticks on the Elite Series 3 would be nice, or whatever the next iteration of the Elite Series controller is. But it's not just the sticks that people are having trouble with. Take this little guy, for example. This is the Elite Series 2 Core. This was sent to me by Xbox. I did a whole video about it. I was super excited. And for months, I played with this thing every single day. I loved this controller, man. But then one day I started noticing an issue with this right bumper here. It's not that it was like completely dead, but I would press it sometimes and it just wouldn't respond. And sometimes I would press it and it would do like a double tap. When I went to go test it in the accessories app, I did see that I had a problem with my right bumper. And that was only after like 5-6 months, maybe. And luckily it was still covered under warranty, so I sent it in and then they fixed it and they sent it back to me. But ever since, this right bumper, it's just not clicking the same. It feels a lot more fragile. So for the Elite Series 3, as we move on into the future, yes, Hall effect sticks, so we don't get stick drift. That would be really cool. But just overall build quality, man, it needs to be a lot tighter. But if you don't want to wait around for the Elite Series 3 to have Hall effect sensors, you can go ahead and buy this G7 SE wired controller from GameSir. And it looks like they have swappable faceplates as well, so there's a little bit of a customization aspect to it. Now it's time for your daily update about the Activision Blizzard acquisition. Y'all know what's going on at this point, right? Like we all know. Xbox, Microsoft, they're trying to acquire Activision Blizzard, the people behind Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Guitar Hero, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, a bunch of other games. Y'all know the people, y'all know Activision, y'all know Blizzard. And just last week, Microsoft scored a huge victory against the FTC here in the United States. You see, the FTC was originally supposed to take Microsoft to court in August, but they were like, hold on, we need more time to kind of like gather our case. We don't want Xbox and Activision to close this deal, so we're gonna file a restraining order against them, a preliminary injunction against them, so we have more time to strengthen our case. And so Microsoft and Activision Blizzard can't make any progress on the deal. Well, after a week-long hearing, a judge denied that preliminary injunction, and Microsoft, Xbox, and Xbox fans everywhere were like, hell yes, let's get it going, let's get Call of Duty on Game Pass, let's get Diablo 4 on Game Pass, what are we waiting for? But then the FTC was like, no, we're gonna try to appeal this decision, we still want that restraining order, that injunction. And again, a judge was like, no appeal, Xbox, Microsoft, they have the green light to go ahead and close this deal, at least in the US. After that appeal was denied, the FTC was like, okay, we're giving up. No more appeals, no more hearings, and we're not even gonna have that original case that we were gonna do in August. So it's a done deal, right? Microsoft can close this deal, and we can just all move on with our lives. No, wrong. Ha, you fool. You thought it was that simple? Have you been paying attention at all? Nothing about this deal is straightforward or simple. In fact, a lot of the time, it's just been like messy console wars back and forth, and that's because the regulatory agency in the United Kingdom, the CMA, has blocked this deal. So that is like the final hurdle in closing this deal, potentially. And it's looking like it could take a little bit longer than we expected. The CMA's decision deadline for whether or not they were gonna like officially block this deal was July 18th. And then they were like, you know what, after this FTC decision, we're gonna push that deadline back to October 18th. And it's like, dang, okay, we have to wait until October to get any definitive news out of this. But since Microsoft got the W over here in the United States, word on the street is that the UK, the CMA, they're open to a restructured deal, but they haven't yet gotten that proposal from Microsoft. Yes, technically Microsoft can submit a restructured deal, and that would just prompt like a whole nother investigation. Again, word on the street is that it's not gonna come to that. But rumor also has it that in order to get this deal approved over in the United Kingdom, Xbox is gonna have to sell off like some of its cloud gaming divisions. I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like. Like, are they gonna sell off the streaming rights to certain games? Are they gonna be Activision games? But according to the CMA, the ball is in Microsoft's court. So it'll be really interesting to see what Microsoft cooks up in order to get this deal across the finish line in the United Kingdom. Another Activision Blizzard news, the CEO of Ubisoft actually came out and voiced his support for the transaction. It seems like there's a lot of supporters in the video game industry for this deal. Pretty much everyone, I guess, except for Sony. I think it's good news that the transaction can go through because it really shows the power of IPs and where the industry is going. So there will be lots of opportunities in the future for all the companies. It also shows the value of IPs that can be on console and PC, but also mobile and become more worldwide brands. That's a fantastic opportunity. Microsoft is saying that the mobile part of the Activision deal is important. So all the investment we are making to be stronger on mobile is also in line with that. Now, his emphasis on mobile gaming, that could be misconstrued or interpreted as bad, just straight up bad. Because typically console gamers, people who play on PC, they don't like that mobile stuff. They don't like the constant microtransactions, oh, buy more energy or watch this ad in order to continue playing that game. And I'm also curious as to what he means specifically by the power of IPs. It's like, yes, Call of Duty specifically, very powerful property, an incredibly valuable franchise. I wonder if Ubisoft is looking at this deal being like, whoa, look at how fiercely people are fighting over Call of Duty Duty, and Candy Crush. Do you think people would do the same thing for our library of IP? Franchises like Assassin's Creed, maybe? You think people would like spend a lot of money to be the stewards of Assassin's Creed? What are we thinking, guys? Next up, I have some good news for any fans of Arkane Austin out there. I know, guys, I know we got, we got the short end of the stick with Arkane Austin's last released game, a little game, you probably heard of it, Redfall. Of course, you heard of that game for all the wrong reasons. If you need a little bit of a reminder, it was not received well at all, either by fans or by critics. But even before the game, there was drama, there was problems, there was speculation. People, including me, were like, why is Arkane Austin working on a multiplayer live service game? It was like every other week we were hearing something different about how this game was going to play. Oh, it's going to be an immersive sim. Oh, it's going to be a looter shooter. Oh, it's going to be like Borderlands. Oh, it's going to be like Far Cry. And it turns out that emphasis on always online, multiplayer, live service did not do any favors in winning over fans for this game. But new job listings for Arkane Austin have been posted to ZeniMax's website, and apparently they want a lead technical engineer that has familiarity with single-player action RPGs and immersive sims. I may be jumping the gun here, but that seems like they want to move on from Redfall and work on a single-player experience. Doesn't sound like we're gonna get Redfall 2, guys, I'm sorry. Which I think that's great news. I think that's what they should have done in the first place. When I was playing Redfall, for the little bit I played it, I couldn't help but wonder, like, man, what if they just focused on making this like their other games, like Prey, like Dishonored, like Deathloop? Like, what if I maybe had the powers of a vampire and I was going around killing other vampires, Blade style, trying to liberate this island? Thinking back on it now, it seems that Redfall was kind of like a holdover from Bethesda's old stuff pre-acquisition. You know, when Bethesda was working on games like Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, they were trying to get into like the multiplayer space. I hope that people look at this and they're like, okay, maybe not every game needs to be multiplayer, have an in-game store, it has to have seasons. Maybe it's okay to just like have a single player game. Of course, there's no official word on what Arkane Austin is working on next. And in the meantime, we're still waiting on updates to Redfall. There's still no 60 FPS mode, there's still some bugs in the game. So I'll be curious to see if Redfall can turn around in any significant way in the time that it takes Arkane Austin to release this new project that they're planning on working on. Next up, I want to talk about something cool I saw on Reddit. Reddit user OKPain posted to the Starfield subreddit with a little clip that shows off real-time pickpocketing. And OKPain 2022 points out that this would be the first time that that feature has been included in a Bethesda game. For those of you who played Fallout, the Elder Scrolls, either Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, usually pickpocketing in those games, it's like you sneak up to someone and then it opens up a little menu and it pauses everything that's going on around you. You can go like pour yourself a bowl of cereal, look at the contents of what they've got going on in their pockets, see what you want, maybe put some things in your inventory, in their pocket, in their inventory. So if this is true and we're gonna have real-time pickpocketing in Starfield, that's a pretty cool concept. It takes a mechanic that we're all pretty much familiar with at this point and just ups the stakes, ups the tension. Someone pointed this out in the replies, but it would also be really cool if they did that with lockpicking as well. Imagine you're trying to pick a lock and there are people around, you're trying to be sneaky, and you gotta do it before they walk up to you and are like, what the heck, man, what are you doing trying to break into my stuff? It's small things like this that are really getting me excited for Starfield, which I know sounds silly, but the small things, they add up, guys, for better or for worse. Going back to Redfall, we were just talking about it. Yes, there was a lot of big things that were wrong with that game, but there were a lot of small things that added up to just compound the issues. A lot of people were pointing out like, oh, when I go and sneak up behind someone and do a melee attack, they just flop over. There's no kill animations, there's no like weight to it, and all those small things just added up to like a bad experience. And so I'm hoping that the opposite is true of Starfield. Like all of these small little features will add up to a truly cool next-gen immersive title. Anyways, guys, that's all the news I have for today. Thanks so much again for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready, and we'll see you in the next video.